Hey guys, what's going on? This is Kyle at ProjectionHub, and I'm back with another video where I'm going to be breaking down and showing you the business plan for an approved startup business that they got approved for, I think, roughly a $450,000, $500,000 SBA loan to open up a brand new med spa. So I'm going to take you through their whole business plan and show it to you and why the loan didn't get approved because of the business plan, but the business plan does a good job of reflecting why they did get approved for the loan. And I'm going to break down the 7 key kind of qualities and characteristics of the application that resulted in it getting approved. So if you have any questions while I'm going through the video, feel free to drop a comment down below, or you can email us directly at support@projectionhub.com. And yeah, hopefully you learned something in today's video. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right, here we go. So I love doing these kinds of videos. I love going through a real business plan and kind of getting to pick apart some of the qualities that reflect why this business was able to get approved. Because getting approved for a startup SBA loan it can be hard. Now, I don't say if you're trying to start a business out there and you're going to need an SBA loan, I'm not saying that to deter you. It's just like statistically speaking, it's a difficult thing to do. So when I'm going through these like 7 kind of key components, I want you to kind of be making mental note of them and like how you measure up or how you stack up on those things. And again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. Actually, I'll just go ahead and let you guys know. I mean, we offer a free SBA review. If you go to our website, it's right there, free SBA expert review. And essentially it's just a form, and it's going to ask you enough questions for us to kind of be able to determine how you're stacking up with some of these. Like, what are your approval odds? What are some things to work on? What are some recommendations? So you can check that out. But that's essentially what I'm going to be going through today, but it's a real example. Now, I've blocked out their logo. I've changed the names. I've changed the location. So this is a real business plan. I wrote this business plan, but it's been changed. So, their identity is protected and whatnot. So, we're not going to read it word for word. I'm not going to tell you their social security number, but we're going to go over the score things. Okay, so let's just kind of hop right into this. So it's not a super long video. And the 7 things, I'm going to try to do them in order, but they're not in order by like importance. They're all important, but I'm going to try to go through them and, each. But the very first thing, and you're not going to find this really inside the business plan, but again, we're going to be talking about the business plan and also these key components, kind of the ingredients to getting approved for an SBA loan. And the first one is, don't turn off the video when I say this, but it's going to be personal financial and credit standing. So your credit worthiness. So this applicant, because it's a very important thing, they had a solid credit score, solid personal credit standing. They had pretty decent personal financial situation. And I don't say that as in like they're really wealthy and they're sitting on a bunch of cash. I just mean that like they had saved some money for their owner investment into the business. So if you don't know this, if you're applying for an SBA loan, especially if it's a startup, you are going to be required to put in a portion of the money. Usually it's 10%, depending upon the lender. It might be a little bit higher if they deem it a risky business or something like that. But 10, 15, 20%, I think 10% is what's required by the SBA. That's considered an owner investment, right? So if you want a $500,000 loan, they're not going to lend you, or if you need $500,000 to start the business, like they call that the project costs, they're not going to lend you $500,000. They might lend you $450,000 and you have to come up with the other $50,000. So usually the way that's done is you save some money and then that's going to be your input. So this person had a solid personal credit standing. They had money saved to be able to put in their owner investment. And another thing that was really important and lenders really love is that this person had a contract lined up for some outside income. I won't go into the details of it specifically, but they were going to kind of have this side job income that they were going to do, a certain number of hours per month, or just like a contractual thing that they were going to do. That wasn't the business. It was them. The owner was going to be fulfilling that personally outside of the business. So they had some guaranteed income. And why lenders love that is they don't view that as saying like, oh, hey, if the business can't make his loan payments, his outside income will make the loan payments. That's not how they're looking at that. They can look at that and say, okay, so he can feed himself and pay for his lifestyle and can survive off of this other money. The business isn't required to do that for him right out of the gate. So it alleviates the pressure off of the startup financially because it doesn't have to pay the owner right out of the gate, right? So anytime a small business has to, like the owner is going to depend on it day one, that's kind of a red flag for lenders, right? They don't want a significant financial burden on top of the business right out of the gate because it's already hard to start a business. Solid credit, had money saved up for their owner investment, and had some outside income set up that kind of alleviates some of the pressure on the business. So that's why it was a good personal financial setup. Okay, now kind of moving into the business plan, go through some of the specifics here. So right out of the gate in our executive summary, we're going to talk about key ingredient number 2, and that is going to be relevant industry experience. So that's a very big component. I like to talk about them front and center in the executive summary, because especially if you're a startup business, the business doesn't exist. There is no history. So a very big component of getting approved for it is you personally. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're getting yourself into? Do you have any sort of experience and know what it takes for a business like this to work? Do you know the industry ins and out? Do you have connections? Like there's a lot of things in the stew there. So this is a pretty good example of a strong candidate for that. So Steve Johnson is the founder of the business. He has been, so again, this is a Medspa, medical spa, and he has been in the device sales industry. He also provided direct clinical care at one point. And actually he recognized that med spas that can have, I don't want to butcher the legal details on this, but a lot of med spas don't have like what's it called? Like a certified doctor or some sort of certification inside it. They might have like an outside doctor that oversees components of it, or they may not provide certain types of services because of those certification requirements. And so this person said like, I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to get that certification because that's a big advantage for me. So he had experience in the industry from selling devices to these industries. So he had connections to other ones. He actually practiced clinically in some of these facilities directly, and he went and got additional educational experience to be able to offer some additional things. And then lastly, he's a key opinion leader on a national aesthetics, I can't say that word out loud, device brand. So he's just very deeply integrated in this industry and has a lot of experience. So that's a great thing. Okay, moving on. Let's keep kind of moving through. You can just see, the business plan in general and kind of the makeup of it. And then we're going to get down to our next one in company description. Now, again, my list here isn't an exact list, but we'll just go ahead and talk about it while it's here. But he has a very cleared demonstrating plan, especially like if it's a business that's going to have a physical location, retail shop, clinic, auto repair shop, coffee shop, event venue, something like that actually exists somewhere physically. It's really a good idea to demonstrate the vision for that. Show examples, show floor plans, show location, show demographics in the area. As much as you can help paint the picture for a lender, the better. We don't want to leave it up to their imagination, because that's where they can start to have doubts if they're filling in the gaps you haven't told them. So we want to do that for them. So, we've got map here of the specific location. We've got pictures of the actual facility. We've got a floor plan. We have some images on the inside that they're essentially just going to need to put some like furniture in there, maybe some light construction involved. So we really help visualize. And this point is done across the business plan. There's market research in here. Talk about the products and services. There's lots of different things, but this is just an easy to point out section that they're helping paint that picture. So business plan that's just full of pictures that are stock images, bad. Business plan that strategically uses real imagery that actually has a role, very, very good. You want to do that. Okay, continue moving on. And I think we can jump to some of these too. Continuing to move down here. Now we're jumping down to the marketing section. Yes, we are in the marketing section. Oh, I skipped one. We're going to do this one actually. So we're in the market analysis, market research. So we've got the macro level research here. And then we get into some local market demographics. So places where med spas exist tend to follow some specific demographic data. They're usually higher income. They have usually a specific age range skewing female that exists. Lifestyles, things they like to do. So there's a formula there, right? And that's where med spas can succeed. So we found some data to prove that demographic does exist here in their target location. But then this key point, which I'm going to put proof of demand. So that's all the things here. Again, the industry as a whole is growing. The community he was targeting, the demographic, what he wanted to target exists, and then also local demand trends. So looking at Google Keyword Planner tool, that's where this data came from, targeting that specific town and these types of keywords, we could see year over year, there was a lot of growth in people searching for these, increasing amount. So IV drip services, medical spa directly, micro needling, lots of different things, and said like searches for those are going up in this area. So that is a proof of growing demand. There's more people searching for those things in that community. So that's another box that we've checked off there. So, and we could see spending, or this is visits to that zip code that he was going to be in, increasing as well. compared to the year before that. Competitor breakdown, all that. Okay, so jumping down to marketing, where we wanted to point out. So another key point is customer acquisition and traction demonstration. Now, if you've watched any videos of mine before, of ours before, I've probably heard me talk about this before. It's one thing to say like, hey, we're going to have a website and we're going to post on social media and we're going to run some ads. It's another thing to say, can you say more specifically something that's going to give you good odds that when the day comes to open up the business, someone's actually going to be there? Some really good examples of this before, or could be like, let's say you're trying to open up your own hair salon and you've been cutting hair on the side and you have 30 people who come and get their hair cut at your place, right? Like that's an example of you have some traction. So the first day you open up your own salon, you've got 30 people coming. It's not like you're putting up a sign and trying to get your first customer. So in this person's case, he grew up and spent a lot of his life in this community. So he has a lot of connections in the area. He has a lot of industry connections. He's built some initial partnerships with other organizations in the community. They're going to be referring to him. They're going to be referring back and forth. So laying a lot of the groundwork to jumpstart business, which was a strong way of doing that. Okay, we're going to keep going through here. Here's another point of me talking about like demonstrating the vision of the business. So talking about the operations, more of the facility build out, the technology that's going to be included, the team that's going to be involved here. Let's see, did I miss one before I get into this point? Talked about customer acquisition, talked about industry experience, personal standing. Okay, so let's jump into this one. And this one is realistic, reliable, and believable financial projections. So I used all three of those words on purpose: realistic, reliable, and believable. So believable and realistic are kind of the same thing, but we want to make sure the financial projections are like based in reality. So, do some of the key ratios align well with like what's typical for the industry? Is the founder being way too aggressive with how much revenue they think they can generate? Are they being conservative initially? Does debt service coverage ratio look good? So to quickly explain that, a lot of lenders want to see 1.25 or higher for debt service coverage ratio. Essentially, that means for every dollar of debt that the business has to repay, there's $1.25 of free cash flow. So it means you can demonstrate that you'll be able to make your loan payments and still have money left over to like operate the business and run things kind of seamlessly there. So does that look good? So just making sure the financial projections are all dialed in. Another great thing about his financial projections were, at least for the first year, he was just going to be an owner operator. So he had the necessary education, certification, and he has hands-on experience. So he knows how to actually provide the services available. So for the first year, at least, he is going to do all the work himself. He's not going to have an employee. That's a really great way to reduce overhead, right? So he's kind of lowering, again, the pressure financially on the business. You've heard me use that phrase a few times in this case, and lenders love that. The more you can say, I don't need the business to support me personally right away. I'm cutting off the fat where I don't need it. So like the business can run a little bit longer, working capital can last longer. That is music to a lender's ear, because again, it just reduces the pressure on the business to succeed right away. It gives you more runway to figure things out, build that customer base, and be successful. So again, we're not going to go into all the specific numbers in this video, but numbers looked within range of what would be normal for the industry, realistic based on how many customers he thought he could attract, that was conservative and reliable. We created the financial projections for him. So he used our kind of expert financial modeling services. We have CPAs and accountants on staff to create the projections, and we just have a lot of experience doing that. So they're reliable, knowing that, the numbers were based in reality and doing a lot of good things there. So we've already covered 6 of the components, right? Just to reiterate again, he had strong personal financial situation, relevant experience, realistic, reliable projections, proof of demand, proof that he could demonstrate there's or he'll be able to acquire customers and traction, a detailed plan demonstrating the location and the vision. And then the first one, you couldn't find the business plan. The last one, you're not going to find the business plan, but it's still very important. And that is finding the right lender is paramount. Not every lender likes every loan. And especially SBA loans are hard to do. That kind of reduces that pool even further. So if you're out there and you're trying to start a business and you know you're going to need an SBA loan, and you tried applying with the bank in your hometown that you've banked with for 20 years and they said no, Don't take that personally. Very specific deals are good for very specific banks. And especially if you're in a small town, startup SBA loans just aren't really the sweet spot of that type of bank. And so knowing how to get to the types of lenders who want to work with you is really important. And I know you might be sitting there and you're saying like, well, if I knew how to do that, I wouldn't be watching this video today. I would already have my loan approved. And I totally hear you on that. So a couple of options for you. One, you work with a broker. So there are SBA brokers out there who have relationships with lots of lenders. And so when they work with you and they kind of understand your business, they can say, I know Nancy at Huntington Bank would be great for this type of one. And they can help kind of facilitate that relationship. So if you have questions on that front, you're welcome to let us know. We also have a free SBA loan analyzer tool. So this is made up of publicly available SBA loan data that's released. It's a very massive set of data that we've kind of refined into this tool. So you can look in your state, your type of industry, business age. You can go to new business or 2 years or less or startup, and you can see which lender is doing the most loans to a business like yours, right? So just to give you a quick example, I could go to Alabama and we could do, let's do construction, and we'll do new business or startup. And we can see which lenders have done the most, right? So you can see United Midwest Savings Bank has done 14 loans. And that was in the last 5 years, totaling an average amount of $145,000 in that state, right? So that's an example of, we already have a better, I'm not telling you 1, 2, and 3 are going to approve your loan, but that's a whole lot better way to start than to just start applying at every bank you see, right? So that's an approach to do that as well. So I know that that's a tricky part to know exactly what to do, but it is a key point nonetheless, is just making sure you're applying with the right lender can make all the difference. And in this loan specifically, we helped get them connected to the lender that ultimately approved them. And this loan probably wouldn't have been approved at a lot of lenders. They probably could have gone and applied to the first 5 banks they saw, and probably all 5 would have declined. Now, for all the reasons I just laid out in this video, it was a really good loan application. And that just demonstrates the difficulty of getting approved for a startup loan in general. You got to really find the right lender. They have different specialties. They have different appetites. Their portfolio weights change. So maybe sometimes they're willing to look at one and sometimes they're not. And I know that can be frustrating as an applicant. So yeah, hopefully this video was helpful for you out there for a lot of different reasons. If you're trying to put together a comprehensive business plan, if you're trying to build up a good case to apply for an SBA loan, trying to find an SBA lender, there's a lot of different things there, and hopefully this was helpful to you. A couple of freebies for you again to be helpful. You can take advantage of our free SBA review if you would like kind of this type of feedback based upon your specific situation. It's not going to end up on YouTube, but we'll give you this kind of feedback. You can check out this loan analyzer tool to see if you can find a lender that might look well for you, but you're also welcome to reach out to us directly at support@ProjectionHub.com or drop a comment down below and we'll try to help you directly the best we can. And yeah, again, hopefully this is helpful. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up. That's really helpful for us as a fellow small business. So yeah, thanks for watching and for sticking around, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.